Facebook Live. Let's Save Your Marriage group. Hello, everybody on the Let's Save Your Marriage group. Today we're going to be talking about a really serious subject. We're going to be talking about what to do when your partner says, I want a divorce. Or another form of that could be, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. And another form of that could be, I just don't know what to do anymore. I just think I have to leave. This can come up in a lot of different ways, but basically when your partner says, I'm done trying, I'm ready to move on and do something else. So what do? Where do you go from here? That's what today's live is about, and it's a question that I know a lot of you may be facing. There was a time in my life whenever I faced this question. Actually, there was a time in my life whenever I was the person on the other end saying, look, this has to change or we got to get a divorce. And so it comes up. So we're going to talk about that today. If you're here, welcome. Just put a little comment in the little comment box. Let me know that you're here live. And if you're here on the replay, just put a little comment in and say you're here on the replay. So, welcome. Glad you're here. Let me know if you can see me. Let me know if you can hear me. If you just put a letter in the box or an emoji or a hand wave or anything you can. We're going to be talking. Hi, Lillian. Hello. Good to see you. Glad you're here. So we're going to talk about, what to do when your partner says, I want a divorce. So, hi, Tana. Hi, Adara. Howdy, live. Hi. Thanks for commenting. Appreciate your comments. So, we've got to ask some questions whenever we're in this boat. Hi, Dominic. We've got to ask ourselves some questions. So the first question to ask yourselves is, hey, your partner said they want a divorce. So how willing are you to save the marriage? Is this something that you want? 0 out of 10. So first you have to rate it, 10 being you're willing to do whatever it takes. 0 being I could care less, I'm moving on with my life. So first you got to rate and figure out where are you at on that scale. Are you at a 0? Are you at a 5? Are you at a 10? How willing are you to save your marriage? Regardless of what the other person does, because obviously they already went out. They're already tired. They're ready. They're saying, hey, I'm going to walk away. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you're at anything lower than a 10, you're going to have to say, what do I need to do to get to a 10? Because I can guarantee you will never change it until you're at a 10. If you're at less than a 10, I see some numbers, thanks for the comment. If you're less than a 10, it's not going to change. So what is it going to take to get you to a 10? Because the other partner is saying, my needs aren't getting met. I'm ready to check out. I can't do this anymore. And you're probably a lot in the same boat. You're probably feeling like your needs aren't getting met too. That's what makes it really hard in this boat, because you're like, well, I have to be the one that does all the work. And that can be a hard place to be at. But if you know you're at a 10 and you want to save your marriage, there's some other questions you can ask. So if you just say okay, and you just say, okay, you want a divorce, and you say okay, how likely is it that things are going to change in your marriage when one person wants a divorce? It's not very likely. I'm going to tell you the story. My wife told me, she was like, I'm leaving, I'm out of here. And there was part of me that was like, really like, you know what, I'm tired of this. I want things to change. And I thought maybe things would be better without her. And I thought maybe if that happened, things could be different. But when she left, I realized, I was only seeing the kids half of the time. The love of my life, my wife was gone, and, I missed her. I missed the kids. I realized we were going to be spending a lot of money in divorce fees. And I realized that I wanted to save the marriage. So I was at a 10, and I decided to do everything I could to save my marriage. But if I hear people a lot, they're like, well, my wife or my husband wants a divorce and there's nothing I can do about it. I'm here to tell you there's something you can do about it. And I'm going to tell you also, if you don't do everything you can to save your marriage, everything possible, and you just let it go, and you don't pull out all the stops, how likely are you to regret that in the future? Because that was something I looked at. I was like, I realized that there were some things that I could have done differently that I didn't. I didn't give my all. I didn't show up the way that I wasn't the husband and father that I knew I could be. And I had to make a decision if I wanted to show up and be that. I didn't know how to be that. I had to spend a lot of time, energy, money. I got coaching, I got books, I got videos. I did everything that I could, and I found a lot of information that helped me a lot. And I got to tell you this, my wife still wasn't on board for quite some time. She was emotionally checked out for quite a while, but I knew that I had to do everything that I could to save my marriage. And now there's not every day. Some days she still could be like, you know what, you're an ass. And that's life. Some days we look at the other person we're around and go, well, you're an asshole, right? That's just how life is. We all do that at times. We look at the other person and go, you know what's wrong in my life? It's you, right? I mean, that's just life. So, anyway, the point to this is, if you're at a 10 and you're ready to do whatever you need to do to change it, and you don't want to have any regrets ever again, and you never have to question yourself, did I do all I could to save my marriage? Then you're in the right place. And I have a program that I work with people who are ready to take the next step, that are ready and able and willing to take the next step and really invest in being able to do just that. Because I'm going to tell you right now, it's not easy. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you this is something simple to do. It's not. It's probably maybe the hardest thing you ever do in your life. But it will be the most worth it, regardless of what happens. Whatever the outcome is, you will be a better person for that. 100% guaranteed, no matter what. And you're going to know you did everything you could. And that's the thing. Because a lot of us in our relationships, how many people here could look at the other person and say, well, I'm not going to do this because you're not doing this, 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 and this? Just raise a hand and say, yep, I get that. How many people are doing everything they can in their marriage because the other person's acting like whatever you want to call, whatever your name is for that, And that's, how many people can you relate to that? How many people can relate to that? And I'm just saying this to be really, really honest with you, that it's not easy. It's not easy, but when you get there and you get to that place and you know that you're doing what you need to do to be the best person you can be, it doesn't matter what the other person does. Because you're showing up the way you need to show up. You're showing up the way you can show up. You're living your life with that purpose, and you're living your life with that meaning, and you're doing everything you can do to show up and be that self-generating force of love. We have to learn how to do that. We don't just, it just doesn't happen like that. We have to invest and get really clear on where we're headed and where we're going and what we want. And we have to really understand ourselves, and that takes time. It takes energy. It takes investing in ourselves, and it takes investing in our marriage and making a decision. Regardless of what the other person does, because it's easy to say, I'm going to do this if you do that. I'm going to do this if you show up. But if you're not, then it's not worth it, because people say it takes two to make a marriage work. But how many times in marriage, I think everybody at some point might think, hey, this is getting boring. Hey, I don't feel the connection I really want. Maybe I could find that somewhere else. Maybe I could find that. I used to do it all the time. I used to go out and go fishing, and I felt really great when I fished. I could catch fish and knew the bait to use. It was great. I felt good. I felt powerful. I felt successful. I felt important. My friends were like, look at him. He can catch fish. He's cool. Like, look at this guy. And I loved doing that at work. I was important. I knew how to be a leader at work and lead the people at work. I knew how to be great with the customers. The customers loved me. But then I came home and I felt like a failure. I didn't know how to be the husband and father that was underneath of all this. And it was easier to go to work. It was easier to go to my hobbies. It was easier to do these other things, than it was to show up, because I didn't know how. I didn't have the information. I didn't have the knowing. I didn't have the support. And, that's why I created a program to help people in that situation, to give them the understanding, to give you the support that you need to be able to get to the next level in your marriage, and to get to the next level with yourself so you can show up the way you can, the way that is underneath of all this stuff of saying, well, you're not going to do it. So, and that's the biggest thing. Isn't that the biggest thing in marriage? It's the biggest problem I see with myself and everybody. We're all in this together. You're not alone. It's like, this is happening it's just a matter of degree. We're all going through this challenge. Feelings come up, problems come up, and when we have somebody close to us, guess where we want to look? You son of a gun. You did it again. It's all your fault, and that's natural. It's natural. It takes a lot of practice. I do this for a living, and it still comes up for me. I'm not free of that. If my kids are around and my wife is around, sometimes I'm like, you guys are just a bunch of, like, what's wrong with you guys? I'm the only normal person here. And I know this isn't something to laugh about, but at the same time, this is part of the program, is generating that energy, that positive energy, to be able to tap into the truth and understanding that we're all suffering at some level. We're all going through this together. So, so how important is it? How important is it for you to get to the next level so you can really know that you did all you did, and that you did everything you could to save your marriage? How important is it? And can you do it alone? Can you do it without support? I had to find support. I had to invest in myself. I had to invest in support to be able to save my marriage, because it took everything that I could to do that. So I'm going to say to you, if you know you're ready and you know that you need support, reach out. I'd love to talk to you about that. But even if not, there's always free videos here for you to watch. There's always going to be something here for you to watch. But if you're ready to step to that next level and to push through, yeah, we all need support, if we're honest with ourselves. And one of the things that a lot of us have learned, maybe this is you too, is how to ask for help in the relation to our marriage. That's a really big challenge for a lot of people. I know it was for me until I came to the end of my rope, and I was like, that was my last resort. I had to ask for help to be able to get the support and the understanding that I needed to move forward and know what could I do? What were my options? I had to really get clear. What was it I was supposed to do? I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I just knew I had to do something, and that's what I did. And it's been, my wife thanks me, not every day, but she does thank me. There are times that she comes and say, thank you for doing this, and it's taken a long time it took a long time. It's not, this is not something that's easy to do. And then there's the other factor. Sometimes people are just done, and there's nothing, no matter what you do, I'm not going to lead you on and tell you that that's always going to be the case, because it's not. Sometimes people are just done. And sometimes when they're done, they go away and they regret being done, because they end up in the same marriage all over again with somebody else, the same problems, because they didn't do anything about it to change it. I saw that happen in my life numerous times with people in my family. You know, they didn't do anything about it. They just left the marriage, and guess what happened? They ended up in the exact same marriage because they didn't invest in themselves to get to that next level, to figure out, you know, what was inside of them that was causing some of these issues. So that comes up, and I've seen that come up a lot, not only in my own life, but in people in my family, my friends, you know, people that have been married 4 or 5 times, recreating the same problem, always getting with the other person is always the problem. It's never them. And sometimes these people that walk away and say, I want a divorce, and they don't do anything, they are the ones who suffer the most, because they continue to repeat the same mistakes over and over. And then there's the marriages that just aren't supposed to work. You know, there's abusive marriages and things like that. I always tell people, if you're in anything like an abusive marriage, get out. You know, do whatever you have to do to get away from that and find yourself and really get connected with yourself. So I know we're talking about a lot, but what do you do when your partner says, I want a divorce? First, decide how much do I want to save this, 0 to 10, 10 being the most. If you say 10, then okay, well, what are you going to do about it? What are you willing to do? If you're at a 10, what are you willing to do? Are you willing to sell everything you own to stay married, even though that other person might not change? Are you willing? How willing are you to do that? You know, how willing are you to find the answers that you need to find? You know, I have a program that I work with people in this very situation when they have a partner that's emotionally checked out, sometimes physically and emotionally checked out. And, you know, there's 3 pillars to the program. 1, reconnecting you to emotional, mental, and physical intimacy in your marriage. 2 is giving you the map to understand yourself and your partner in your marriage. And the 3rd one is showing you the pathway to crystal clear communication, and how to communicate in a way that you can really understand and be understood in your marriage. And you know, if that's something you know you need, reach out. And like I said before, sometimes we'll do all we can and our marriages still won't work out, and that's okay, because we become better people in the process, and the next time this comes up for us, we won't attract that same marriage, that same relationship, because I've seen this numerous times. People that don't do the work, guess what happens? They end up in the same thing over again. So can you do it? Can you save your marriage without an understanding of the dynamics of what's happening? You know, that's what I needed. I was confused a lot, mentally confused, emotionally a wreck, and I didn't know what to do, what to think half the time. And I had to get really clear about what I wanted and and the strategies to get there. And that's something that I share in the program as well, and some of the things that I share here as well. Because, you know, this is a passion that I have, because it's something I've been through. So I understand what it's like to suffer with that and to be in that place. And if you're here, I honor you for being here, because this is what it takes, is showing up, continuing to show up and find the answers to be able to know what it is we can do to save our marriage. So I really appreciate you being here. I thank you so much for listening. I hope you got a lot out of this. If you know you need support, reach out anytime. You can send me a message. If you have any questions, you can reach out, send me your questions in a DM, and I'd love to talk to you. And I appreciate you watching. I hope you got a lot out of this. Thank you so much. Have a great night. See ya.